where, what, why, don't forget when. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to begin. Tell you all my feelings and senses from the heart. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to start. Once was a girl with golden curly hair. She ate some porridge, broke a little chair. She went to bed as quiet as a mouse, and when she woke up she was in the bear's house. Who, where, what, why, don't forget when. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to begin. Tell you all my feelings and senses from the heart. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to start. The big bad wolf said, little pigs, let me come in. No, not on your life, not by me hairy chinny chin. He huffed and he puffed and he blew 2 homes away, but it was the little pigs who lived another day. Who, where, what, why, don't forget when. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to begin. Tell you all my feelings and senses from the heart. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to start. The whole farmyard ran as fast as they could, down to the river beside the wood. Never trust a fox, smile, don't climb upon his back. Even in a story you might become a snack. Who, where, what, why, don't forget when. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to begin. Tell you all my feelings and senses from the heart. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to start. He was a lad in old Baghdad. He stole a lamp for his uncle who was bad. The genie gave him wishes, count them 1, 2, 3. The princess by his side is just happy as can be. Who, where, what, why, don't forget when. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to begin. Tell you all my feelings and senses from the heart. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to start. Who, where, what, why, don't forget when. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to begin. Tell you all my feelings and senses from the start. I'll tell you a story I can't wait to start. The wind was blowing through her blonde, glossy, curly hair, and as she looked about with the small, clear blue eyes, it put an upturned, blood-red smile upon her face. At her neck she had a bright, sparkling necklace, but her weak hands rubbed themselves over the stolen silk wedding dress. She loved the way that the long sleeves would rustle and crackle, but she stamped her small, pointed, glistening shoes upon the ground. There was a smell in the air. For her it was the stench of pizza. She could not stand it, and it wrinkled her nose, but now the wind blew, and her blonde, glossy, curly hair was falling into her small, clear eyes. That upturned, blood-red smile upon her lips had gone, but if there was one thing she was good at stealing. She touched the bright, sparkling necklace, and she remembered where she had taken it. But it was this stolen silk wedding dress with its beautiful long sleeves that brought that smile back to her face. She started to skip. When she skipped, it made her feel younger than she was now. And all she did was lick at her lips to think that soon she would be going back to that place that she called home, through the fields and fields of rhubarb, for she loved to eat fruit. But she was a mean-hearted girl, a terrible girl. But none of the animals that always flocked around her knew just how terrible she was with other people. She was selfish. She would turn her back on society. And as she walked through the muddy fields, her small, pointed, glistening shoes were starting to get dirty. The wind was blowing, and the animals, the sheep and the dogs, were starting to get restless by the side of the tall grass that was rubbing at her ankles. There was a sweet smell of flowers in the air, but as she entered into the square, brown wood fenced cornfield, she did not feel happy. In this room, this part of the courtroom above the jail, her heart was like a stone. Rapid shivers were dancing up and down her spine, and her blood felt as if it was like melting ice. There was an eerie silence pulling at her dress, and her skin was rough, covered all over in goose flesh. By the edge of this field where the wind was blowing, she could tell that all of the animals were getting upset. There were sheep and dogs, and as she looked at them with her small, clear blue eyes, there was an upturned blood-red smile upon her lips. The wind was blowing her blonde, glossy, curly hair, and far away in the distance, when she'd come from the town, she could still smell the pizza. She could not stand the smell, but she was good at stealing, and she'd skipped to this place because it made her feel so much younger. But as the sheep and the dogs were all going around her, because the only friends she had in this world were the animals, the tall grass was rubbing at her ankles. There was a sweet smell of flowers in the air, and it crackled and ripped against the stolen silk wedding dress. She put her weak hands up to that bright sparkling necklace, and she started to run upon her small, pointed, glistening shoes. She was a mean-hearted girl, and she turned her back on everyone. Many had said that she was selfish to society, and as she went into that square brown wood fence, the cornfield lay in front of her. The only thing she really loved to eat was fruit. But if she'd had any sense, she would have made sure that she did not leave a trail behind her. For banana skins laid upon the ground, they littered the place, and she could hear the sound of a police car. And this smile grew wider, and her teeth, like gravestones, gave her a yellow smile upon her face. If she was trying to hide, well, she was not doing a good job of it, for she stood upon a branch, and it broke, and it made a sharp click in the air. And to make things worse, as she was going towards her treasure, she left a bottle of water behind her, and if she'd felt and if she'd noticed, the necklace had slipped from her neck and laid down upon the ground, and then her phone went off. The police, the dogs, all turned to look. If she'd stood up and waved her arms in the air, she could not have let them know better where she was. Standing here in this room, this courtroom above the jail, her heart was like a stone in her chest. Rapid shivers were dancing upon her spine, and her blood was melting like ice. She'd walked in through the stained glass doors and stood there in the dock. It was as if there was a clock inside of her head, and an eerie silence was pulling at a dress. Oh, not this beautiful stolen silk wedding dress, but a dress she'd been given by the police to wear, and it rubbed against her rough goose flesh. And as she heard that she was going to jail, she could watch the sun going down.